There's an inner thing in everyone. Do you know this thing, my friends? It has withstood the blows of 1,000,000 years and will do so to the end. It was born when time did not exist, and it grew up out of life. It cut down evil's strangling binds like a slicing, searing knife. It lit fires when fires were not, and burnt the hearts of man, tempering leaden hearts to steel from the time that time began. It died in blood on buffalo plains, and starved by moons of rain. Its heart was buried in wounded knee, but it will come to rise again. It screamed aloud by Kerry lakes as it was knelt upon the ground, and it died in great defiance as they coldly shot it down. It is found in every light of hope. It knows no bounds nor space. It has risen in red and black and white. It is there in every race. It lies in the hearts of heroes dead. It screams in tyrants' eyes. It has reached the peak of mountains high. It comes searing across the skies. It lights the dark of this prison cell. It thunders forth its might. It is the undauntable thought, my friends, that thought that says, I'm right. The Rime of Time is an epic poem of defiance and struggle. Bhí sé scríofa ag Bobby Sands na blachan a hitch nuair a bhí sé ar an plúd. This year is the 40th anniversary of the hunger strike in which Bobby and 9 of his comrades died. The hunger strike began on the 1st of March 1981. For the first 17 days of the strike, Bobby kept a diary. Like the Rime of Time, it was written on scraps of paper and toilet roll. Bhí a bheith smugailte ón prison.
I am standing on the threshold of another trembling world. May God have mercy on my soul. My heart is very sore because I know I have broken my poor mother's heart, and my home is struck with unbearable anxiety. But I have considered all the arguments and tried every means to avoid what has become the unavoidable. It has been forced upon me and my comrades by 4.5 years of stark inhumanity. I am a political prisoner. I am a political prisoner because I am a casualty of a perennial war that is being fought between the oppressed Irish people and an alien, oppressive, unwanted regime that refuses to withdraw from our land. I believe and stand by the God-given right of the Irish nation to sovereign independence and the right of any Irish man or woman to assert this right in armed revolution. That is why I am incarcerated, naked and tortured. Foremost in my tortured mind is the thought that there can never be peace in Ireland until the foreign, oppressive British presence is removed, leaving all the Irish people as a unit to control their own affairs and determine their own destinies as a sovereign people, free in mind, body, separate and distinct physically, culturally and economically. I believe I am but another of those wretched Irishmen, born of a risen generation, with a deeply rooted and unquenchable desire for freedom. I am dying not just to attempt to end the barbarity of H-Block, or to gain the rightful recognition of a political prisoner, but primarily because what is lost in here is lost for the Republic, and those wretched oppressed who I am deeply proud to know as the risen people. There is no sensation today, no novelty that October 27th brought. The usual screws were not working. The slobbers and would-be despots no doubt will be back again tomorrow, bright and early. I wrote some more notes to the girls in Armagh today. There is so much I would like to say about them, about their courage, determination and unquenchable spirit of resistance. They are to be what Countess Markovich, Anne Devlin, Mary Ann McCracken, Mary McSweeney, Betsy Gray and those other Irish heroines are to us all. And of course I think of Anne Parker, Laura Crawford, Rosemary Bleakley, and I'm ashamed to say I cannot remember all their sacred names. Mass was solemn, the lads as ever brilliant. I ate the statutory weekly bit of fruit last night. As fate had it, it was an orange, and the final irony, it was bitter. The food is being left at my door. My portions, as expected, are quite larger than usual, or those which my cellmate Malachy is getting.
Much to the distaste of the screws, we ended an anois protest this morning. We moved to B Wing, which was allegedly clean. We have shown considerable tolerance today. Men are being searched coming back from the toilet. At one point, men were waiting 3 hours to get out to the toilet, and only 4 or 5 got washed, which typifies the eagerness of the screws to have us off to no wash. There was a lot of petty vindictiveness from them. I saw the doctor, and I'm 64 kilograms. I've no problems. The priest, Father John Murphy, was in tonight. We had a short talk. I heard that my mother spoke at a parade in Belfast yesterday and that Marcella cried. It gave me heart. I'm not worried about the numbers of the crowds. I was very annoyed last night when I heard Bishop Daly's statement. Again, he is applying his double set of moral standards. He seems to forget that the people who murdered those innocent Irish men on Derry's Bloody Sunday are still as ever among us, and he knows, perhaps better than anyone, what has and is taking place in H-Block. He understands why men are being tortured here, the reason for criminalisation. What makes it so disgusting, I believe, is that he agrees with that underlying reason. Only once has he spoken out of the beatings and inhumanity that are commonplace in H-Block.
I once read an editorial in late 78 from the then Archbishop of Féile Sewer Pipes of Calcutta statement. It is said it was to the everlasting shame of the Irish people that the Archbishop had to, and I paraphrase, stir the moral conscience of the people on the H-Block issue. A lot of time has passed since then, a lot of torture, and the fact the following year was the worst we experienced. Now I wonder who will stir the Cardinal's moral conscience. Bear witness to both right and wrong, stand up and speak out, but we do not know that what has to be said is political. And it's not that these people don't want to be involved in politics, it's simply that their politics is different, that is British. My dear friend Tomboy's father died today. I was terribly annoyed and it has upset me. I received several notes from my family and friends. I have only read one from my mother. It is what I needed. She has regained her fighting spirit. I am happy now. My old friend Sheachnasaigh has also written, I have an idea for a poem. Perhaps tomorrow I will try and put it together. Every time I feel down, I think of Armagh and James Conley. They can never take those thoughts away from me.
I'm feeling exceptionally well today. It's only the third day I know, but all the same I'm feeling great. I had a visit this morning with 2 reporters, David Beresford of The Guardian and Brendan O'Carroll of the Irish Times. Couldn't quite get my flow of thoughts together. I could have said more in a better fashion. 63 kilograms a day, so what? A priest was in. I feel like he's weighing me up psychologically for a later date. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I think he is. So I had to try to fuse any notion of that tonight. I think he may have taken the point, but whether he accepts it will be seen. He could not defend my onslaught of Bishop Daly, or at least he did not try. I wrote some notes to my mother and Mary Doyle in Armagh, and will write more tomorrow. The boys are now all washed. I didn't get washed today. They were still trying to get men their first wash. I smoked some bog road bowls today, the luxury of the block. They put a table in my cell and placing food in front of my eyes. I honestly couldn't give a damn if they placed it on my knee. They still keep asking me silly questions like, are you still not eating? I never got started on my poem today, but I'll maybe do it tomorrow. The trouble is, I'm now having more ideas. Got papers on a book today. The book was Kipling's short stories with an introduction of some length by W. Somerset Maugham. I took an instant dislike to the latter reading on his comment on the Irish people during Kipling's prime as a writer. It is true the Irish were making a nuisance of themselves. Damn too bad, I thought. And bigger the pity it wasn't a bigger nuisance. Kipling I know of, and his Ulster connection. I'll read his stories tomorrow. I gram fadrin fwy da an la tan a buchli in ish. Nilium rodel agam anacht, shin shin.
Father Murphy was in tonight. I have not felt too bad today, although I notice the energy beginning to drain. But it is quite early yet. I got showered today and had my hair cut, which made me feel quite good. 10 years younger, the boys joke, but I feel 20 years older, the inevitable consequence of 8 years of torture and imprisonment. I am abreast with the news in view with utter disgust and anger, the Reagan and Thatcher plot. It seems quite clear that they intend to counteract Russian expansionism with imperialist expansionism to protect their vital interests, they say. What they mean is they covet other nations' resources. They want to steal what they haven't got, and to do so, as the future may unfortunately prove, they will murder oppressed people and deny them their sovereignty as nations. No doubt Mr. Hockey will toe the line in Ireland when Thatcher so demands. Notice the rarity today. John with the tea, and by the way the screws are stirring at the food, they seem more in need of it than my good self.
The welfare sent for me today to inform me of my father being taken ill to hospital. Tried to get me to crawl for a special visit with my family. I was distressed about my father's illness, but relieved that he has been released from hospital. No matter what, I must continue. I had a threatening toothache today, which worried me, but it is gone now. I have read Atkin's statement in the Commons. Mara Deha. It does not annoy me because my mind was prepared for such things, and I know I can expect more of such, right to the bitter end. I came across some verse in Kipling's short stories. The extracts of verses before the stories are quite good. The one that I thought very good went like this. The earth gave up her dead that tide. Into our camp he came, and said his say, and went his way, and left our hearts aflame. Keep tally on the gun but score, the vengeance we must take, when God shall bring full reckoning for our dead comrades' sake. I hope not, said I to myself, but that hope was not even a hope, but a mere figure of speech. I have hope indeed. All men must have hope and never lose heart. But my hope lies in the ultimate victory for my poor people. Is there any hope greater than that? I'm saying prayers, crawler, and the last minute one, some would say, but I believe in God, and I'll be presumptuous and say he and I are getting along well this weather. I can't ignore the presence of food staring me straight in the face all the time, but I have this desire for brown wholemeal bread, butter, Dutch cheese and honey. It's not damaging me, because I think, well, human food can never keep a man alive forever, and I console myself with the fact that I'll get a great feed up above if I'm worthy. But then I'm struck by this awful thought that they don't eat food up there, but if there's something better than brown wholemeal bread, cheese and honey, etc., then it can't be bad. The March winds are getting angry tonight, which reminds me that I'm 27 on Monday. I must go. The road is just the beginning, and tomorrow is another day. I'm now 62 kilograms, and in general, mentally and physically, I feel very good.
There was no priest in last night or tonight. They stopped me from seeing my solicitor tonight as another part of the isolation process, which, as time goes by, they will ruthlessly implement. I expect they may move me sooner than expected to an empty wing. I will be sorry to leave the boys, but I know the road is a hard one and everything must be conquered. I have felt the loss of energy twice today, and I am feeling slightly weak. They, the screws, are unembarrassed by the enormous amount of food they are putting into the cell, and I know they have every bean and chip counted or weighed. The damned fools don't realise that the doctor does tests for traces of any food eaten. Regardless, I have no intentions of sampling their tempting morsels. I am sleeping well at night so far, as I avoid sleeping during the day. I am even having pleasant dreams, as so far no headaches. Is that a tribute to my psychological frame of mind, or will I pay for that tomorrow or later? I wonder how long I will be able to keep these scribbles going. My friend Jennifer got 20 years. I am greatly distressed. I have no doubts or regrets about what I am doing, for I know what I have faced for 8 years, and in particular the last 4.5 years others will face, young lads and girls still at school, or young Gerard or Kevin, and thousands of others. They will not criminalise us, rob us of our true identity, steal our individualism, depoliticise us, or churn us out as systemised, institutionalised, decent law-abiding robots. Never will they label our liberation struggle as criminal. I am amazed at British logic. Never in 8 centuries have they succeeded in breaking the spirit of one man who refused to be broken. They have not dispirited, conquered, nor demoralised my people, nor will they ever. I may be a sinner, but I stand, and if it so be, will die, happy knowing that I do not have to answer for what these people have done to our ancient nation. Thomas Clark is in my thoughts. Aunt McSweeney, Stag, Gaughan, Thomas Aish and McCaughey. Dear God, we have so many that another one to those knaves mean nothing, or so they say, for someday they'll pay. When I am thinking of Clark, I thought about the time that I spent in B-Wing, Crumlin Road Jail in September and October 77. I realised what was just facing me then. I have no need to record it all. Some of my comrades experienced it too. So they know that I have been thinking that some people blame me for this hunger strike, but I have tried everything possible to avert it short of surrender. I pity those who say that, because they do not know the British, and I feel more pity for them because they don't even know their poor selves. But we didn't have people like that who sought to accuse Tone, Emmett, Pearse, Connolly, Mellows. That unfortunate attitude is perennial also. I can hear the curfew passing overhead. Such a lonely cell, such a lonely struggle. But my friend, this road is well trod, and he, whoever he was, who first passed this way, deserves the salute of the nation. I am but a mere follower, and I must say, AOI.
I received a most welcome note tonight from Bernie, my sister, old Bernie. I love her and think she's the greatest. I'm now convinced that the authorities intend to implement strict isolation soon, as I'm having trouble seeing my solicitor. I hope I'm wrong about the isolation, but we will see. It's only that I'd like to remain with the boys for as long as possible, for many reasons. If I'm isolated, I will simply conquer it. A priest was in today, somewhat pleasant, and told me about Brendan O'Cahar's article in the Irish Times during the week, which I saw. We had a bit of a discussion on certain points, which, of course, were to him contentious. He was cordial in his own practiced way, purely tactical, of course, and at the same time he was most likely boiling over inside, thinking of the reference to this week's APRM, calling him a collaborating middle-class nationalist, or appropriate words to that effect. He is too, says I, and I sympathise with those unfortunate sons of God who find themselves battling against the poverty, disease, corruption, death and inhumanities of the Masons. I'm 61 kilograms today, going down. I'm not troubled by hunger pangs, nor paranoid about anything pertaining to food. But by God, the food has improved here. I thought I noticed that during the last hunger strike. Well, there is a lot at stake here. I got the Irish News today, but there's nothing in it. That's why I got it. I'm looking forward to seeing the comrades at Mass tomorrow. All the younger looking faces, minus the beards, moustaches, long rambling, untamed hair, matted in thick clumps. One thing is for sure, that awful stage of the piercing or glazed eyes, the telltale sign of the rigours of torture, won't be gone, if it is ever removed. I wonder, is it even conceivable that it could be erased from the mind? We got a new comrade during the week. Isn't it inspiring, the comrades who keep joining us? I read what Jennifer said in court. I was touched and proud she is my comrade. I've been thinking of Mary Doyle and Ellen McGuigan and all the rest of the girls in Armagh. How can I forget them? The screws are staring at me perplexed. Many of them hope, if their eyes tell the truth, that I will die. If need be, I'll oblige them, but my God, they are fools. Oscar Wilde did not do justice to them, for I believe they are lower than even he thought. And I may add, there is one thing lower than a screw, and that is a governor. And in my experience, the higher one goes up that disgusting ladder they call rank or position, the lower one gets. It's raining, I'm not cold, my spirits are well, and I'm getting some smokes. Decadence. Well, sort of, but who's perfect? Bad for your health, or yes and ish, away.
In a few hours' time, I shall be 27 grand years of age. Paradoxically, it will be a happy enough birthday. Perhaps that's because I am in a free spirit. I can offer no other reason. I was at Mass today and saw all the lads, minus their beards, etc. An American priest said Mass and I went to communion. One of the lads collapsed before Mass, but he's alright now. Another was taken out to Musgrave Military Hospital. These are regular occurrences. I am 60.8 kilograms today and have no medical complaints. I received another note from my sister Bernie and her boyfriend. It does my heart good to hear from her. I got the Irish News today, which carried some adverts in support of the hunger strike. There is a standby doctor who examined me at the weekend, a young man whose name I did not know up until now. Little friendly Dr. Ross has been the doctor. He was also the doctor during the last hunger strike. Dr. Emerson is, they say, down with the flu. Dr. Ross, although friendly, is in my opinion also an examiner of people's minds, which reminds me, they haven't asked me to see a psychiatrist yet. No doubt they will yet, but I won't see him, for I am mentally stable, probably more so than he. I read some wildlife articles in various papers, which indeed brought back memories of the once upon a time budding ornithologist. It was a bright, pleasant afternoon today, and it is a calm evening. It is surprising what even the confined eyes and ears can discover. I am awaiting the lark, for spring is all upon us. How I listened to that lark when I was in H5 and watched the pair of chaffinches which arrived in February. Now lying on what is indeed my deathbed, I still even listen to the black crows.
I've left this rather late tonight, and it is cold. The priest, Father Murphy, was in. I had a discussion with him on the situation. He said he enjoyed our talk and was somewhat enlightened when he was leaving. On the subject of priests, I received a small note from a Father SC from Tralee and some holy pictures of Our Lady. The thought touched me. If it is the same man, I recall him giving a lecture to us in Cage 11 some years ago on the right to lift arms in defence of the freedom of one's occupied and oppressed nation. Preaching to the converted he was, but it all helps. It's my birthday and the boys are having a sing-song for me. Bless their hearts. I braved it to the door at their request to make a bit of a speech, for what it was worth. I wrote to several friends today, including Bernie and my mother. I feel alright and my weight is 60 kilograms. I always keep thinking of James Connolly and the great calm and dignity he showed right to his very end, his courage and resolve. Perhaps I'm biased because there have been thousands like him, but Connolly has always been the man that I looked up to. I've always had tremendous feeling for Liam Mellows as well, and for the present leadership of the Republican movement, and a confidence in them that they will always remain undaunted and unchanged. And again, dare I forget the Irish people of today and the risen people of the past. They too hold a special place in my heart. Well, I've gotten by 27 years, so that is something. I may die, but the Republic of 1916 will never die. Onward to the Republic and liberation of our people.
It has been a fairly normal day in my present circumstances. My weight is 59.3 kgs and I have no medical problems. I have seen some birthday greetings from relatives and friends in yesterday's paper, which I got today. Also, I received a bag of toiletries today. There is no priest in tonight, but the chief medical officer dropped in, took my pulse and left. I suppose that makes him feel pretty important. From what I have read in the newspapers, I am becoming increasingly worried and wary of the fact that there could be quite well an attempt at a later date to pull the carpet from under our feet and undermine us, if not defeat this hunger strike, with the concession bid in the form of our own clothes as a right. This, of course, would solve nothing, but if allowed birth could, with the voice of the Catholic hierarchy, seriously damage our position. It is my opinion that under no circumstances do they wish to see the prisoners gain political status or facilities that resemble or afford us with the content of political status. The reason for this are many and varied, primarily motivated by the wish to see the revolutionary struggle of the people brought to an end. The criminalisation of Republican prisoners would help to furnish this end. It is the declared wish of these people to see humane and better conditions in these blocks, but the issue at stake is not humanitarian, nor about better or improved living conditions. It is purely political and only a political solution will solve it. This in no way makes us prisoners elite, nor do we, nor have we at any time purport to be elite. We wish to be treated not as ordinary prisoners, for we are not criminals. We admit no crime, unless, that is, the love of one's people and country is a crime.
When Englishmen allowed Germans to occupy their nation, or Frenchmen allowed Dutchmen to do likewise. We Republican prisoners understand better than anyone the plight of all prisoners who are deprived of their liberty. We do not deny ordinary prisoners the benefit of anything that we gain that may improve and make easier their plight. Indeed, in the past, all prisoners have gained from the resistance of Republican jail struggles. I recall the Fenians and Tom Clark, who indeed were most instrumental in highlighting by their unflinching resistance the terrible silent system in the Victorian period in English prisons. In every decade there has been ample evidence of such gains to all prisoners due to Republican prisoners' resistance. Unfortunately, the years, the decades and centuries have not seen an end to Republican resistance in English hellholes because the struggle in the prisons goes hand in hand with the continuous freedom struggle in Ireland. Many Irishmen have given their lives in pursuit of this freedom, and I know that more will, myself included, until such times as that freedom is achieved. I am still awaiting some sort of move from my cell to an empty wing in total isolation. The last strikers were 10 days in the wings with the boys before they were moved, but then they were on the no-wash protests and in filthy cells. My cell is far from clean but tolerable. The water is always cold. I can't risk the chance of cold or flu. It is 6 days since I've had a bath, perhaps longer. Tomorrow is the 11th day and there is a long way to go. Someone should write a poem of the tribulations of a hunger striker. I would like to, but how could I finish it? Must go as I'm getting tired.
I received a large amount of birthday cards today, some from people I do not know. In particular, a moss bouquet with 50 mosses on it from Mrs. Burns from Sevastopol Street. We all know of her, she never forgets us and we shan't forget her. Bless her heart. I also received a card from reporter Brendan O'Cahir, which indeed was thoughtful. I received a letter from a friend and from a student in America whom I don't know, but again, it's good to know that people are thinking of you. There were some smuggled letters as well from my friends and comrades. I am the same way today and have no complaints medically. Now and again I am struck by the natural urge to eat, but the desire to see an end to my comrades' plight and the liberation of my people is overwhelmingly greater. The doctor will be taking a blood test tomorrow. It seems that Dr. Ross has disappeared and Dr. Emerson is back. Again, there has been nothing outstanding today except that I took a bath this morning. I have also been thinking of my family and hoping that they are not suffering too much. I am trying to piece together a quote from James Connolly today, which I am ashamed that I did not succeed in doing, but I'll paraphrase the meagre few lines that I can remember. They go something like this. A man who is bubbling over with enthusiasm or patriotism for his country, who walks through the streets among his people, their degradation, poverty and suffering, and who, for a want of the right words, does nothing, is in my mind a fraud, for Ireland, distinct from its people, is but a mass of chemical elements. Perhaps in the stark poverty of Dublin in 1913 does not exist today, but then again, in modern day comparison to living standards in other places through the world, it could indeed be said to be the same, if not worse, both north and south. Indeed, one thing is not changed, that is the economic, cultural and physical oppression of the same Irish people. Even should there not be 100,000 unemployed in the north, their pittance of a wage would look shame in the company of those whose wage and profit is enormous, the privileged and capitalist class who sleep upon the people's wounds and sweat and toils. Total equality and fraternity cannot and never will be gained whilst these parasites dominate and rule the lives of the nation. There is no equality in a society that stands upon the economic and political bog if only the strongest make it good or survive. Compare the lives and comforts and habits, wealth of all those political conmen who allegedly are concerned for us, the people, with that of the wretchedly depraved and oppressed. Compare it in any decade in history, compare it tomorrow, in the future, and it will mock you. yet our prenatal blindness continues. There are no luxuries in the H block, but there is true concern for the Irish people.
Father Toner was in tonight and brought me in some religious magazines. My weight is 58.75 kilograms. They did not take a blood sample because they want to incorporate other tests with it, so the doctor says they'll do it next week. Physically, I have felt very tired today, between dinner time and later afternoon. I know I'm getting physically weaker. It is only to be expected, but I'm okay. I'm still getting the papers all right, but there's nothing heartening in them. But again, I expect that also, and therefore I must depend entirely upon my own heart and resolve, which I will do. I received 3 notes from the Comrades in Armagh. God bless them again. I heard of today's announcement that Frank Hughes will be joining me on hunger strike on Sunday. I have the greatest respect, admiration and confidence in Frank, and I know that I am not alone. How could I ever be with comrades like those around me, in Armagh and outside? I've been thinking of the Comrades in Portlaoise. The visiting facilities there are inhuman. No doubt that hellhole will also eventually explode in due time. I hope not, but Hawkey's compassion for the prisoners down there is no different from that of the Brits towards prisoners in the north and in English jails. I have come to understand, and with each passing day I understand increasingly more, and in the most sad way, that awful fate and torture endured to the very bitter end by Frank Stagg and Michael Gaughan. Perhaps indeed yes, I am more fortunate because those poor comrades were without comrades or a friendly face. They had not even the final consolation of dying in their own land, Irishmen alone, and at the unmerciful, ugly hands of a vindictive, heartless enemy. Dear God, but I am so lucky in comparison. I have poems in my mind, mediocre no doubt, poems of hunger strike and Mac Sweeney, and everything that this hunger strike has stirred up in my heart and in my mind. But the weariness is slowly creeping in, and my heart is willing, but my body wants to be lazy. So I have decided to mass all my energy and thoughts into consolidating my resistance. That is most important. Nothing else seems to matter except that lingering, constant, reminding thought, never give up. No matter how bad, how black, how painful, how heartbreaking, never give up, never despair, never lose hope. Let them bastards laugh at you all they want. Let them grin and jibe. Allow them to persist in their humiliation, brutality, deprivations, vindictiveness, petty harassments. Let them laugh now, because all of that is no longer important or worth a response. I am making my last response to the whole vicious, inhuman atrocity they call H block, but unlike their laughs and jibes, our laughter will be the joy of victory and the joy of the people. Our revenge will be the liberation of all and the final defeat of the oppressors of our aged nation.
I'm not superstitious, and it was an uneventful day today. I feel alright, and my weight is 58.5 kilograms. I was not so tired today, but my back gets sore now and again sitting in the bed. I didn't get the Irish news, which makes me think there's probably something that they don't wish me to see, but who cares? Father Murphy was in tonight for a few minutes. The screws had a quick look around my cell today when I was out getting water. They're always snooping. I heard reports of men beaten up during a wing shift. Nothing changes here. Sean McKenna is back in H4, apparently still a bit shaky, but alive and still recovering, and hopefully he'll do so to the full. Wasco me leis na Dhialann ar maidin, agus an taon smuinte bhain a bhí am micheann, seo thugad le eile Robert. Cuireann sé sin oran a scríb me a warohin in Yieldy. Seo ag BRB. Jerry me ar maidin, mar a hanig in Chivador, Will sé mo garas, go tromas gan lorch. Dark me ar na bwali, is hyn mae'n arw me bio, cheater nac nemwai, and tifrin seo go jaw. Dusgol a doris, is nar drudgy ag o huan, ach bachumar, mar na roamar in ar suin. Hola me ein, is ni acha me giala le. Is me an morlum, gro me go divin faoi. Cawal mas mwyncha ar leiha a hui roin, is cawal a tail, a smwyn me a visa doin. Ni clinter me vec, is ni actor mar reich me yor, nor a higgin ar la, a eki me eir go mór. Canna me sin leis an fort hu ni giver. Bhí na hainní a céileach aniu, cai cheandan na buchlaí ar na magas na inneog, ar a le bhí daine ag na gíthe. Luigneach a bhí mé ar fiú tamil ar tróna bug aniu. I ggéiseach leis na préchain ag scradal agus ag teach do bhála dífa. De glinhín an éiseag alain, breise tí mar chrí. An éis mar scríbim tan cór chráthair ag cínu mar a héan siad harm. Is mailam na héanaí. Well, caiithim mé gol, mar mas scríbim níos mó ar na héanaí seo, be mé dheor ag rí is rahí mas muinte ar eis ag an tam nar bhí mé móganach. Béad na leitheanta agus éad a mí go Joanéis. A catan siad lam agus ar léad níl dearmid deanta go marthaí. Tá siad am mar chrí. Í Hawaii-néis.
Again, another uneventful, somewhat boring day. My weight is 58.25 kilograms and no medical complaints. I read the papers, which are full of trash. Tonight's tea was pie and beans, and although hunger may fuel my imagination, it looked a powerful size meal. I don't exaggerate, the beans were nearly falling off the plate. If I said this all the time to the lads, they would worry about me, but I'm alright. It was inviting, I'm human too, and I was glad to see it leave the cell. Never would I have touched it, but it was a starving nuisance. Ha, my God, if it had have attacked, I'd have fled. I was going to write about a few things I had in my head, but they'll wait. I am looking forward to the brief company of all the lads at Mass tomorrow. You never know when it could be the last time that you may ever see them again. I smoked some cigarettes today. We still defeat them in this sphere. If the screws only knew the half of it, the ingenuity of the POW is something amazing. The worse the situation, the greater the ingenuity. Someday it may all be revealed. On a personal note, Léamha, I just thought I'd take this opportunity tonight of saying to your good, hard-working self that I admire you all out there and the unselfish work that you all do and have done in the past, not just for the H-blocks in Armagh, but for the struggle in general. I've always taken a lesson from something that was told to me by a sound man. That is, that everyone, Republican or otherwise, has his own particular part to play. No part is too great or too small. No one is too old or too young to do something. There is that much to be done that no select or small portion of people can do. Only the greater mass of the Irish nation will ensure the achievement of the Socialist Republic, and that can only be done by hard work and sacrifice. So Mokara, for what it's worth, I would like to thank you all for what you have done, and I hope many others follow your example. And I'm deeply proud to have known you all, and prouder still to call you comrades and friends. On a closing note, I've noticed the screws have been really slamming the cell doors today, in particular my own. Perhaps a good indication of the mentality of these people. Always vindictive, always full of hate. I'm glad to say that I am not like that. Well, I must go to rest up, as I found it tiring trying to comb my hair today after a bath. So vens oremos, be bua, ugin la ekin, shaladi abu.
Frank has now joined me on the hunger strike. I saw the boys at Mass today, which I enjoyed. Father Toner said Mass. Again, it was a pretty boring day. I had a bit of trouble to get slopped out tonight and to get water. I have a visit tomorrow and it will be good to see my family. I am also looking forward to the walk in the fresh air. It will tire me out, but I hope the weather is good. I must go.
I had a wonderful visit today with my mother, father and Marcella. Wonderful considering the circumstances and the strain which indeed they are surely under. As I expected, I received a lot of verbal flack from screws, going and coming from the actual visit. Their warped sense of humour was evident in their childish taunts, etc. I wrapped myself up well to keep me from the cold. My weight is 58.25 kilograms today, but I burnt up more energy today with the visit. I have no complaints of any nature. I've noticed the orderlies are substituting slices of bread for bits of cake, etc., stealing the sweet things, which are rare anyway, for themselves. I don't know whether it's a case of how low can you get, or, well, could you blame them? But they take their choice and fill of the food always, so it's the former. I left my supper in tonight when the priest, Father Murphy, was in. There were 2 bites out of the small doughy bun, I ask you. I got the Sunday World newspaper. Papers have been scarce for the past few days.
There is a certain screw here who has taken it upon himself to harass me to the very end, and in a very vindictive, childish manner. It does not worry me, the harassment, but his attitude aggravates me occasionally. It is one thing to torture, but quite a different thing to exact enjoyment from it. That's his type. There was no mirror search going out to visits today, a pleasant change. Apparently, with the ending of the no wash protest, the mercenary screws have lost all their mercenary bonuses, etc., notwithstanding that they are also losing overtime and so on. So, not to be outdone, they aren't going to carry out the mirror search anymore, and its accompanying brutality, degradation, humiliation, etc. Why? Because they aren't being paid for it. I'm continually wrapped up in blankets, but find it hard to keep my feet warm. It doesn't help my body temperature, drinking pints of cold water. I'm still able to take the salt and 5 or 6 pints of water per day without too much discomfort. The books that are available to me are trash. I'm going to ask for a dictionary tomorrow. I just sit and flick through that and learn, much more preferable to reading rubbish. The English rag newspapers I barely read, perhaps flick through them and hope that no one opens the door. A copy of last week's APRN was smuggled in and was read out last night, Ingenuity of POWs again. I enjoyed listening to its contents. Faultless, get off them, good lad Danny Morrison. I truly hope that the people read, take in and understand at least some of the truths that are to regularly be found in it. I see Paddy Devlin is at his usual tricks and won't come out and support the prisoners. Well, that's it for tonight. I must go. Iho.
Lala Porrigan you Marscra near Harley and Road Santasaigh. Bhí mé ar afran agus mo kids grúig a garthagam níos gura agus wad níos far freisin. Sagart nach ró ar maithne a bhí a ran afran. Bhí na gilí a tuairt an bhí amach de cac a bhí a teacht a raisiún afran. Rinne iarach plata bé a thuairt dúsa. Corú os cuairma a chiúil mé ar machlí maras nach ró in Jan. Fir mé couple nuchtán aniu agus mar 6 mallards bhí nucht na háirnán. Tá má fáil pay scale atá le fáil ón na Berkeley Caperby. Tháinig mé ceann na doctorí ar maidin agus gan béasa chuann sé tuirseo orm. Bhí mé 57 kilo machan ní ruaon garan agam. Bhí an rialtóir stílom agus thug sé beaga ní de bhíal dúsa. Arsa sé, tíam go bhfuil tú a leor gurrid, rud máin nach leor fada mar ní chric nuí tú Sin an 6 daoine atá an tú, plá deorthú is cumallán. Lá fadlach a bí bhí mé smaoitiú aniu ar an cealachan seo. Deir daoine a lán faoi an corp ach ní chuirthaí muinneáin a corp ar bí. Massam ceart go leor go bhfuil 6 tradán. Ar dús, ní ghlachan an corp leis an aspa bí. Is fuilgan go bhain sé an chathu bí is Eagraithe eile a bhí na siar clippi an corp. Tridan an corp a reis ceart go leor ach a Gerry an le tían achanrád a reis heag an príomhrád is í sin an bear. Is í an bear an rud is táachtaí. Mar bhfuil mear leidir agat an chorannaigh le an rud atá agat ní worry tú. Ní bheith íon sprid trada agat. Is an sin, cén áit is a jigan an bear ceart seo? Beidir as an án saoirse. Níl sé cinse gur bé sin an áit is a jig sé, ach mar bhfuil siad an inmh an fón saoirse a scrais, ní bheith siad an inmh tú héana a bhréisiú. Ní bhréisi siad mé mar tá an fón saoirse agus saoirse winsear na haireann a mo chraí. Tugaí láigean nuair a bheith an fón saoirse seo a haispint ag daoine go leor na haireann. Is an sin tíofaí muid iarraí na gealaí.